All right, so we are joined by the amazing, honorable, nine-term mayor of the city of Ridgeland, Mr. Gene McGee. We thank you so much for taking some time for us. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools: Ridgeland High School, Madison Central High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, Rosa Scott, and our YouTube channel. And we are in the government career cluster here in our college career readiness class. So thank you so much for taking some time for us.
Sure, absolutely, my pleasure.
Obviously, we want to talk about all the great things that you do there in the city and a lot of the great careers that are in government. But a lot of people, and including myself, um, I know you're from Hickory, and then you became mayor in 1989. But what made you want to get into a public office?
Well, to be very candid with you, I never dreamed that that's what I would do. When I finished school and college, I was in insurance and investment business, and
Okay.
I was had a very successful career, but was very interested in what was going on in Ridgeland. In fact, I ran for a board of aldermen, served for one term, and at that particular time, when we were getting ready to end that term, there was a lot of interest in what was going to be going on with our schools, and it was very important. That was before Madison Central was built, before Ridgeland High School, and a number of people came to me and asked me to run. I reluctantly did not say yes, but then I prayed about it, to be very honest with you, and some things happened. People came to see me, and I said, "Well, I believe this is a message." So I ran, beat a incumbent that had been in office a while, and it's history there from there now.
Absolutely. And just so many great projects you've overseen in the city since then that continues to grow. And it's really amazing the work you guys have been doing. Now, you did mention the Board of Aldermen. So, for our young people that may not understand how a city government works, there's a lot of elected positions, there's a lot of appointed positions, and there's a lot of positions that they could apply for if they wanted a great career. So, obviously, you're elected, and you guys have eight aldermen that are elected by the people.
Seven aldermen,
Seven, I'm
seven
sorry.
aldermen.
Seven aldermen that are elected by the people, and you guys work together to kind of do a lot of stuff. So, just for the kids that may not know, just explain how all that works because that's an important part of a city government function.
Sure. And it would be good for them to know a little background. We are a co-charter city, which means
Okay.
we were established by the state legislature. Most of the cities across Mississippi are charters. There
Oh,
are a few that aren't, like, for instance, Jackson is a mayor and city council. Some other ones are special charters, like Natchez. I think maybe a few others. But
wow.
there are seven aldermen, and of course, me elected. We have six wards, and then one alderman at large. When you get over 10,000 population in the city, in the state of Mississippi, then you go from five aldermen to seven. You'll note in a lot of cities that are smaller than us, they have five aldermen. Uh,
I did not know that.
but there are
Wow.
appointed positions. Yeah, we have an appointed judges, which is a great career. We have appointed prosecutor, which is a great career. Our city clerk and police chief, public works director, all those park director, all those are appointed positions, and usually across the state of Mississippi, there are cities that are always looking for those talented people in those areas. So if someone is interested in recreation parks, there's a way to get a degree in that. If they're interested in law, obviously that's very helpful. So, and of course we have appointed city attorneys also, and some cities hire theirs full time. Our hours are appointed, and that's another opportunity for people. So many opportunities in city government that are available, and will come open over the years.
Yeah, and you guys have technology people. You guys have people working on the roads that have to fix things. You guys got electricians and all these skilled workers that are so necessary for a city to run are and things we take for granted. But there's always a need for good, hardworking people to work in these city
That,
governments.
that's right. And you mentioned people. We have an IT department, and of course, IT is something that's really important this day and time. And we have to have a good department there because there are always those people trying to get into our system to steal our money and to do things. And
Oh,
that's
yes.
happened over the state of Mississippi and over the country. But we have people that have to do the part of keeping our parks up and running our parks and recreation programs. Of course, you have the folks that, as you mentioned, Public Works. whether it be working on the streets or working on water and sewer, keeping the city clean. All those things are very important. And so we have a great department of folks doing all those things.
Yeah, and you also have the people that deal with the zoning and the licenses and collecting the money for people paying bills, people paying city taxes. So, and there's got to be somebody to keep up with all that. So you need good finance people. So
That's
anybody that
right.
wants to have a background in finance, City of Ridgeland, all these city governments are always looking for good people to handle that as well.
You got to have good finance. First of all, you want to be sure the budget is under control. One of the
Yeah.
things that the city of Ridgeland is so fortunate is we have a strong sales tax base, and that's a larger part of our budget. But we have to be sure that as we budget every year, as we go through those things, that we don't overextend, that we're able to keep our taxes low and our services high. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have the highest bond rating in the state of Mississippi. And if the
Wow.
students don't know what that's about, when we go to the when we issue bonds and go to the out there, we have the best credit score and we have the best interest rate. And we'll issue bonds for different things. It may be for street projects, it may be for something to do with parks, or it may be we issued bonds when we built the new city hall. And all those things, we have to be careful that we keep our bond rating really strong. Those people in finance that work for us, it's very important that we have them to be sure that we're doing the right thing. And I'm very pleased with what we have. We have a city clerk, again, and she's appointed and she's in charge of finance, but there are people in her department that keep up with accounts payable, accounts receivable, all those things that we have to do on a daily basis.
Absolutely, and and that's such an important job. Now, one thing I've always said you've done such a wonderful job of, and everybody else in the city, because like I said before we started recording, I talked about with you when you came to my class when I was in 10th grade in high school, you talked about something you were really pushing in Ridgeland was the term you used was we have a great nighttime population. So you really have been all about developing business. You wanted people to come to Ridgeland and spend money. You guys got two movie theaters. You got great shopping areas, amazing restaurants, great locally owned businesses. So um, talk about why that development is so important for a city. Because when you have more and more people coming and spending money, it allows you to do more things. So just talk about
So
over
that's
the last 25 years, all the great business development.
That's right. What we've tried to do is may have a marriage of good residential development and quality businesses. So we don't want just anything come here that's not the right kind of business. And what that's done is it's allowed us to have a strong, again, sales tax base, a good economy, and it's kept our local taxes to the lowest they can be. We've never raised our ad valorem taxes in the last
Wow.
35 years, which is
Wow.
that's something unusual for cities. And what it has done is allowed us to have great parks, Freedom Ridge, Walcott Park. We have a great tennis facility and our multi-use trails, which people enjoy. Almost every weekend, there's some event here of people coming to utilize our parks or our multi-use trails, whether it's a soccer tournament, a baseball tournament, a cycling event, and we're one of the number one cycling city in the state of Mississippi, and the American
Yeah.
Society of Cyclists has noted that we have what we call a bronze level, which is a great a level to be of cycling and cycling safety. All those things are very important. It brings people here, as you mentioned. When people come here, for instance, for a baseball tournament, they bring their families, or a soccer tournament, they bring their families, and they come here and they spend the night in our hotels, and they eat in our restaurants, and they shop in whether it's the North Park or the Renaissance or the Township, or maybe even on Jackson Street. They really that helps keep our economy strong, and so people want to come back. If you have quality services, people will go and tell their other friends, and they'll come back again. So that's important.
Absolutely, and and there's great churches in Ridgeland where people come, they come and worship, then they go by eat lunch later. So it really is such a great team of great businesses, great schools working together to build that economy. Now, one thing that I've always said because I've been a fan of yours since I was in high school, and one thing that I've always admired is even though you've been an elected official, you have always made it about the people and developing business. Because yes, you're a member of the Republican Party but you have so many people that endorse you from both parties because you have really been about let's see what we can do to make our community better. And we see the national news and all the fighting with all the people in Washington D.C. But in local government, there really isn't a lot of that, and there's so much teamwork and people of all backgrounds coming together to make the city great. So just talk about how you've done that so well to work with so many different types of people of backgrounds and ages and businesses, and really made Ridgeland a very desirable city to live in and work in.
Well, first of all, yes, you're right. I'm a Republican and I'm conservative, but you know, when you're dealing with groups of people, you have to understand that you got to work together. I
Absolutely.
remember Senator Thad Cochran in Washington was an expert of working with both Republicans and Democrats, and that's what we have to do here. We have people living here that are Republicans, that are independents, that are Democrats, and yet we've got to serve all of those, and we have to serve them all equally, and that's important. So,
Absolutely.
you know, if someone comes here and they're wanting to open a business, a quality business, and they're not Republicans, that's fine. We want to support them. We also want to support their, you know, their issues. Is again, there's too much disagreement across the country that we don't need to do that here at all, for sure. And you know, I take pride. I have friends that are Democrats. I have friends that are independents, and you know, I work with the Mississippi legislature and work with both Republicans and the Democrats. In fact, we have two people that represent the city of Ridgeland. One's a Democrat and one's an independent. And then we have a Democratic senator that represents us and a Republican senator. But we all work together. That when I have an issue to the legislature, I don't look at whether it's a Republican or Democrat. I want to help get this issue done for our city. So, and
Absolutely.
it's worked well. I'm very pleased to be able to do that.
Absolutely, and I think you've set a great example for everybody across the state on how in local government it really is all about working together. And I think it's really cool. On your website, you have endorsements from several local people, and some of them are very vocal Democrats, but they'll support you because of the work you guys have been able to do working together for everybody, and that's such a great thing. Now, the kids are handing me questions, and I want to get to these. But one thing I think is so important to talk about as these kids start to get voting age is once they turn 18, they're going to be able to vote for these positions wherever they live, whether it be Canton, Madison, Flora, Ridgeland, or wherever. And it is so important to understand when once you have that right to vote, you need to exercise it. I have never once in my life told anybody who to vote for because one, I'm not smart enough to give anybody advice anyway. But I always say the issues of the city and the county affect our lives so much more on an everyday basis than anybody in Washington, D.C., especially here in Mississippi. So, how important is it as these kids start to get older and are able to register to vote that they take part in these elections? Just voting for, being informed, and voting for somebody in these positions.
Well, I'll tell you exactly how important it is. When I ran for alderman in 1985, on the night of the election, when they counted the votes, it was a small turnout, but each of us had 91 votes. 91 votes. No, I
Wow.
had no, excuse me, I'm sorry. I had 90, my opponent had 91. There were three absentee ballots. When they opened the ballots up, my opponent, the first one, he got the first one, so that was 92. The next two that opened up, I got them, so I had 92. So we tied. So that tells you how much one vote means.
Wow.
So 2 weeks later, we had a runoff, and I won the election by a large margin because my supporters had decided to come out and vote. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to be complacent and not get out and vote because every vote counts. And it doesn't matter who you're supporting, go out and vote because that's your right. That's when you get 18. There's no reason for you to miss an election. And be informed about what the candidates stand for. You might uh, be really surprised to know what a candidate's going to do for a city or a county or a state. And it's very important to know what their platform is. But don't miss going to vote. It's so critical. I can't emphasize that enough. You know, we have elections going on in cities right now, and there'll be tight elections, I'm sure. And so those that are interested in the candidates, they need to get out there and support their candidates. Don't sit around and say, oh, well, this guy's going to win or this lady's going to win, because that's not the case. And it happened to me. I can tell you when I tied, I never would have dreamed that would happen. But I had many supporters that didn't get out and vote that day. But if they'd gotten out and voted, we wouldn't have had an additional runoff.
Wow. Yeah, and I agree. I have kids all the time once they start voting say, "Well, who should I vote for?" I said, "Well, I can't tell you who to vote for, but you need to find out what the issues are find out what's important to you, and
Exactly.
then vote based on that. Because I always say, you know, I, I won't tell your age, but I remember all the way back to President Reagan. And I cannot remember a single president ever coming to Mississippi unless they were trying to get my vote or it was a disaster. These local politicians, these local government officials are the ones that are going to affect our everyday lives for years to come. And I just think it's so important with, especially with these local elections coming up now, these kids really know their voice is needed and their voice it should be heard.
And by the way, if someone is 17 right now, but will be 18 before the June general election, they can go ahead and register to vote. In fact, I've known several
Ooh.
students in here in Ridgeland that are just fixed to turn 18. One of them being my grandson, and he's already registered to
Oh,
vote.
wow.
He can't vote in the April 1st ballot because of his age, but he'll be able to vote in the general election. And there is a lot of issues that come up. For instance, in our June election, we'll be voting on to uh, provide financial support to double the size of Freedom Ridge Park. So it's not just voting
Oh,
for a candidate, but it's also going to be voting for the future of the recreation parks of the city of Ridgeland. So again, those votes are important. And I'll just say, if you live in Ridgeland and you're 17 right now, but you'll be 18 before the June election, go ahead and come to City Hall and register to vote.
yeah. Yeah. For all of our Ridgeland High students that live in Ridgeland, absolutely. Once you turn, about to turn 18, go ahead and get registered. Your voice is needed. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and I'll get to as many of these as I
Okay.
can. This first is Carrie Queen. She's in 10th grade, one of our volleyball players, member of our band here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, what was your biggest motivation to run for public office?
Believe it or not, it was the educational system in Madison County. Back when I became mayor, we did not have a high school in Ridgeland. We only had
Yeah.
one elementary school. We didn't have a middle school. Now we have two elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And there was a lot of fighting among people as to what schools would be built, et cetera, et cetera. Thank goodness Madison Central got built. We built Highland Colony Parkway. That was one of the reasons we went ahead and built it so that Madison Central could be built and have a
Yeah.
location that was very accessible. And so my motivation was to have educational facilities available for students. Now, when we passed a bond issue to build Ridgeland High School, the Justice Department tried to sue us to say that we didn't need Ridgeland High School. So we went to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans and beat the Justice Department so we could build Ridgeland High School. They said that we were being discriminating against minorities. I'd say that that's just the opposite. We've been supportive of minorities here in Ridgeland. So, but anyway, we won that. We built Ridgeland High School. All that's history. Again, the tax base that we're building here in Ridgeland is helping all of Madison County schools. Velma receives money because of the strong economy here, as Ridgeland High School or Madison Central does, all of the schools. So it's important that we do important thing to provide resources for the educational system in the county to keep it the best that it can be. And I'm very proud of that.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I like this one. This
Did
is
that
Anaya
answer her
Gold.
question?
It did.
Okay,
This is
good.
Anaya Goen. She's in ninth grade, one of our champion power lifters here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, did you think you would face all these problems once you became the mayor?
Lord have mercy. I never dreamed what I would face. I never will forget when I first got elected mayor, the health department sent us a letter and said if we didn't do something to improve our water system, we were going to shut you down. The rating
Wow.
bureau said if you don't do something to do better for fire protection, we're going to give you the worst rating that you can have in Mississippi, which is 10. So I went to work
Wow.
trying to improve our water and sewer here, and I had to raise the water rates. And it was not very popular. It was in September, one of the driest times, and people were watering the lawns. And you can tell I would have liked to have had a power lifter back then because I needed one to protect me. I was down at City Hall, our old City Hall, with about 200 people with ropes in their hands wanting to hang me because I'd raised water rates. But as you can look at the history, we were able to bring our system up to where it needed to be. Our fire insurance rating went from an 8, now we're at a 3. And of course, the health department's given us a go. And of course, we've developed a lot. So we were able to overcome those problems. But I can tell you, my wife told me, and I'll never forget this. I came home after that meeting with those people that were going to hang me. She said, well, you're going to be a good one-term mayor. And I thought, well, that's probably true. But anyway, you can see what's happened.
Yeah. I like this one. This is Christian Fields. He's ninth grade, one of our football players. And he asked, What is the hardest decision you've ever had to make as mayor of Ridgeland?
Well, usually you have something that comes up where you have two sides. And one person is for it, or one group is for it, one group is against it. What I try to do is I'll try to look at what's best for the city, and sometimes it really can upset people. But for instance, allowing for a certain type of development. I know when the Butler Snow building was being built on the Parkway, the law building, there were a lot of people that didn't want it to be built, and I helped make the decision to go ahead and build it. And of course, once it was done, it became an outstanding development. The other one that was tough was Costco. There was protest of
Oh
people
yeah.
that did not want Costco to be built. However, they were some of the first ones shopping there when it opened, and they love it now. And I've even had some of them tell me, "Hey, I was wrong. We shouldn't have been against it." But anyway, those were two major decisions uh, that I'll tell you were tough, tough, tough. I'm gonna read something. Let me get something right quick.
Oh, go ahead.
If you're going to be in leadership, this is something you got to remember. You'll have to make hard decisions that negatively affect people that you care about. You will be disliked despite your best attempt to do the best for the most, and you will be misunderstood and won't always be able to defend yourself. That's my motto, and I try to tell all my department heads and that you got to make decisions that are best for the city, and sometimes people don't understand, but in the long run, you got to do that to make it the best it can be.
Oh, absolutely. I like this one. This is Ricky Body. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, if someone was interested in running for public office, what advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I would try to find out what branch of the government I'm interested in, whether it might be the legislature or city government. Find out, the issues in the city, and then, if you're going to run for it, be sure that you are letting people know what your position is and how you can, what you're going to do to improve the city or the state, whatever you're running for, and just let them know your position, and then get out there and knock on doors because in order to get elected you got to have the people voting for you. And it may sound crazy, but that's the way you get elected is people want to see you. They want you to ask them for their vote. And once you do that, get them to put yard signs out for you, that sort of thing, then you'll be successful.
Absolutely. Well, I got time for two more. I like this one. This is Sidney Evans. He's one of our football and baseball players here, and he asked, when you first became mayor, did you ever think you would be mayor for this long?
No, as my wife told me, I was probably going to be a one-term mayor. I never dreamed that I could have a career well, it's 35 years now, soon be 40. It seems like it'll pass quickly, but I never thought that. I thought that I would probably go back to my insurance and investment career. Uh, but, as fate has had it, people reelected me. Had some tough campaigns, but there's been several times that I haven't been opposed like this time. So I'm very fortunate, very blessed, and it's an honor to be able to serve the city for 4 years or for 40 years for sure.
Absolutely. And then and like you said, a lot of the things that Ridgeland does really affects everybody here in Madison County. So it really is just great work you guys are doing. And I got one more. This is Levon Johnson. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, when you talk about having people of different backgrounds working together, how do you come together and have them be on the same page?
Well, you sit down and explain the issue to them all, and you make sure everybody understands. Sometimes you might compromise. I don't mean compromising your principle, but a lot of times there's two different sides and two different ideas. And those ideas can be mixed together to come up with a better product. And we do that quite often here, frankly. Uh, Even though the Board of Aldermen right now is only of one political party, they have differences of opinion. And a lot of times we sit down and we work out those differences. And sometimes they may have a better idea than me. And we're able to actually do a better job. So you just got to sit down and understand that everybody's opinion is important and then address the issues and come to a conclusion at the end that is best for the city.
Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. It's just, I've always admired how you always find a way to speak to young people because it is just so important for them to understand all the things that go on in the city. Now, the last thing before we go, why is it so important for these kids as they start to transition out of high school? to start making career choices or college choices, to really, really be informed of the things that go on in the city government where they decide to have their family.
Well, if you're not informed, and then you're not going to be able to participate in doing what's right for the city or the county. And it, there may be some issues that you can make a difference in. And so keep up with what the board of supervisors are doing, and keep up with what the board of aldermen are doing in different cities and the mayors, so that you'll know, so that you can be involved. Because if it's so sad when people don't know what's going on. And to me, when people we try to give people all kind of information so that people will know, and so that they can participate. It's very important. And by the way, you tell these students anytime that they'd like to stop by City Hall, I'll give them a tour of what we call our new City Hall. Plus, sit down
Oh,
with them and
wow.
talk to them about what the future might lie for them and what their interests might be. We have a mayor's youth council. I have 27 students, and we try to really have been teaching them. And by the way, they're black, white, Republican, Democrat, all those are different sources, but yet we're having so much fun together, learning about our city and doing things. And our next stop, we're going to be going out to give them a tour of the new Amazon Web Services facilities that are
Oh, yeah.
being built in Ridgeland, which is exciting. And we've had a federal judge talk to them. I mean, all kind of things. They've got to go into jail and see what happens when you do the bad things. It's great things. So I love students, and I love to be able to talk to them about what's going on.
Absolutely. And just,
By the way,
and
we hire part-time students here if they're 16 or older to work in our recreation parks. It's a great opportunity for them to learn a lot.
oh, absolutely. And I know they're always needing help out there, especially in the summer, with all the
Yep,
youth baseball and everything going on. So yeah, I did not know that. Or actually I knew it, but I just forgot about it. But that's a great opportunity for kids looking for a summer job, and we'll definitely get that information
absolutely.
to them. But again, we just thank you so much for joining us. The incredible nine-term mayor of the city of Ridgeland, the amazing Honorable Gene McGee. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and I hope y'all have a blessed day.
All right, talk to you soon, my friend.
Okay.